a lot on my mind, and a lot has been happening. So let's talk about this new bill that the House passed to criminalize gender-affirming care for minors. It's bad. I think the thing about it for me is that it sounds to a lot of people like something that should happen, right? Because when you look at the titles of the articles that say trans surgery for minors banned, but that's not what it means, and two, even if that was what it means, it would still be bad, because the fact of the matter is that the regret rates are so low, and helps people so much that it's something that should happen. And I do think, to an extent, I feel like transgender rights are something that has been forgotten by a lot of people. And to me, it's one of the most important issues that we face. I think it's like climate change. In terms of domestic issues, I think it's climate change and then trans rights. I mean, I think because we have a large portion of people who not only have people on the right who have always been bigoted, hate them. They have people not on the left, but I don't know, Democrats who even come at them a little bit, in an attempt to win moderate voters. You have a lot of people who practice tolerance in the way that you tolerate a person who you find annoying, saying, well, I'll call them what they want, or I'll be nice to them, but not actually accepting and truly being there for trans people. I mean, they have such a hard time in society. And yeah, I really think that I'm shocked it took so long for people in Congress the Republican establishment to try to push something to hurt trans people, because as we know, if there's anything Republicans hate, it's human life. So we're going to go through this article, and then that's it. I have some things to say about each part. I read through it. And as you can guess, there's going to be a lot of visually interesting stuff. So this is one to save and watch while you're cooking or something. Listen to, kind of like a podcast. Anyway, the House on Wednesday night passed a bill introduced by Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Republican, to criminalize parents and providers for providing gender-affirming care to children under the age of 18. This, to me, is, I guess this hits kind of the main thing, which is what counts. Does going to a therapist count? Does this mean that if someone were to go to a therapist, that the therapist would need to automatically go for conversion therapy? I don't know. Would the therapist not be able to affirm the trans child? I don't know. I'm sure the bill says it. I haven't read the bill itself, so all I know is it's care. Now, I do know that this includes, from reports, that this does include hormone therapy and puberty blockers and surgery. I think the thing for me is hormone blockers and hormones, as in the hormone of the hormone that would make you feel more like the gender that you are. Estrogen for trans women, testosterone for trans men, and puberty blockers are typically the only things that be used on someone under 18. I mean, the amount of trans surgeries is small. It I believe in America is still under like 100. It's definitely under 1,000. Definitely less than Republicans would want there to be in order to claim there's an epidemic, as well as the regret rate is so low and the benefits are so high. But I was thinking, I'm like, why is this such a big deal? And I think what it is that wanting to get rid of gender-affirming care for children makes you transphobic, and I think it does automatically. And that's because you believe that it kind of gets to what I was saying, where you might believe that it's okay if someone's trans, or you might be like, whatever, I'm not going to hate someone for it, but it doesn't mean that you accept them. It doesn't mean that you'll fight for them, right? Because you don't want kids. You wouldn't want the only population that you can control to express any sort of transgenderness. I mean, think about it. There are kids who would genuinely feel good if they got even the ability to change their name and the way people call them, or change what clothes they wear and how much that would help them. But they don't care. These lawmakers don't care. They don't care about what makes people happy. They care about what makes parents feel comfortable. And this is a thing about Republicans. They've never considered children to be people. Children aren't people to them. Children are our property. Children are kind of more like forces of nature. To them, they're not conscious. They don't believe anything. And if they do believe something, it's been forced on them. And even then, being trans isn't a belief. It's a state of being. You are trans or you aren't trans. Just like being gay or lesbian is, or being any other identity. It's not something you can control. And what you have is when you outlaw trans health care, gender-affirming care, and this is parents and providers. That's another thing, parents, right? Are kids going to be able to go to school and even take on another name or dress differently, or would that cause trouble, right? Can teachers call them by their preferred name and pronouns, right? And if they can't, what kind of problems does that cause down the line? What does that put in people's heads? No one's trying to permanently damage children. I mean, hormone blockers are literally meant to delay the idea, because delay the decision. Because if you're trans, let's say you're a trans man, right? You're getting older and you grow boobs or hips or something, you're not going to feel good about that. And if you're a trans woman and you grow male parts, you're not going to feel good about that either. And all it does is it delays the decision, right? Delays the decision. It says, let's see, maybe we'll try a name, we'll try clothes, maybe for like a year or two, a couple of years. And if it's consistent, then maybe if they want, they can get on hormones. It's no one's going in, doctor, give me hormones, and they just get hormones. That's never happened. And conservatives are just so evil, and they just hate transgender people so much that it's not about kids getting these treatments. Right? Because hormone blockers are not permanent. They once you get off them, you go back to where you would be. The only significant downside is any bullying or treatment you might get for not having a puberty, but any feeling you have about that is probably diminished by any feeling you have of hating the puberty that you get, you know. And there just isn't significant evidence to say that there's significant downside to hormone blockers. And this is kind of thing for me. I don't think it's necessarily about stopping something from having kids. I think it's you don't like trans people. Because theoretically, there's nothing wrong with having a kid socially transition, which is gender-affirming care. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But you don't want that either. They don't want that either, because that would mean they would have to look at trans people, which to me, I think it's evil. I mean, we can read through it. This is from Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's a demon lady, obviously. It's considered unlikely to pass the Senate, which is good because Trump would sign it. Although it hurts me that Democrats voted for the bill. They're not surprising. Ban Medicaid coverage for gender-affirming care for children. That basically is like, well, you know, if you're poor, too bad. Too bad you can't get your care. No care for the poor. And I know another thing, I know I'm rambling, I'm a rambling person. People who have to wait, it does damage. It not only damage of seeing their puberty, it delays their ability to get the care they want. It delays their ability to fully realize who they want and how they want to portray themselves outwardly. It delays their ability to have their body fit their mind. And it's even worse for people who don't have a lot of money. I mean, people who struggle with money, I mean, they can't get anything. So, I mean, it's, you know, evil. Puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and surgery, yeah. Look at this. Although cisgender children would be. So you really don't have a problem with hormone therapy and puberty blockers, especially puberty blockers. Because hormone therapy, you could say, well, we'd give a little girl estrogen because maybe she has problems producing it or something. But hormone blockers, it doesn't matter because they'll both be getting the same hormone blockers and it'll do the same thing for both of them. And that kind of gives the game away. That it's not about protecting children. It's about hating trans people. Cause needless suffering? Yep. Trans people make up a very small percent of the population, but they're very overrepresented in society because suicide rate is high. Based on the research we have, it's pretty obvious that society tells population exists that has a profound effect. Yet, nearly half of transgender, non-binary young people seriously consider suicide, and 12% of LGBTQ plus young people attempted suicide. That is double high schoolers. But the point I'm making is that a lot of people are less comfortable talking about the prejudices against women and racial minorities and immigrants than they are about trans people. Even liberals, conservatives, they all have something to say, and it makes a lot of people where you go, oh, okay, you know, I can't be friends with you, right? Because I'm fine with taxes or whatever, right? But I'm not fine with that. I'm not fine with hating people. I don't have time for hate. I don't care if you're a family member. I don't care if you grew up with me. It doesn't matter. I don't have time for sexism. I don't have time for racism. I don't have time for homophobia. I don't have time for xenophobia. And most people don't have time for that. But for some reason, a lot of people I've met have time for transphobia, right? They may be like, this guy's racist, let's not invite him to the party. But the transphobe can come to the party, which is totally unjustified. I don't think that should happen. Trans people should be treated with respect, and people who don't respect them should be treated as the same bigots as racists and sexists. I'll have another video coming probably right after this. So subscribe for more political ranting. And if there's anything you thought I got wrong, you can let me know. Yeah, thank you.